All righty, we're back. Welcome to part 2 of the Hidden Agenda for February 25th, 2026. Like I said, we're going to pick up with the meeting recap, and bottom line is we're interjecting stuff in there. We didn't quite do it what I was hoping we were going to do. But
I told you from the beginning we wouldn't make 30 minutes.
I mean,
we're long-winded. I apologize.
Well, you know what? We're dealing with 4 meetings here too, and there's
touche.
And now we're starting to get into the meat of the meetings, which I think most people are going to be really interested in learning about. Okay, let's continue up in here. Like I said, we're going to have to get you stuff on the dumpster rates. First reading of an ordinance amending the municipal code relative to the personnel director.
Yes. So
all right.
That was about hiring, from my understanding, too. That was a large portion of that discussion on this personnel director. Person was HR, essentially.
Okay.
And so whether or not that person is the mayor's personnel director, and him and his designee can sit in all interviews and meetings. So that was a big discussion.
Okay.
They wanted to know, or essentially allow the mayor to sit forth in some of these meetings to make sure we have qualified candidates, because that's been a big issue here lately.
Right.
We've kind of had some discussions about that, me and you. We have, say we set out three qualifications for something. One of them is like a major thing. For instance, we'll go with the CDL driver for the Public Works Department. We put out an ad in the paper, we need somebody for this. We had 5 or 6 qualified candidates, from my understanding, that put forward, hey, got a CDL driver and everything else. What happened? We went and hired somebody that appears to be a friend of the director of it. That's not within the county. No.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Is this the friends and family plan that we've heard about?
Yeah, like the Rise and Friends and Family plan. Yeah, it sounds like it. And so we hired somebody from that, wasn't in the county, right? And then also didn't even have his CDLs. And so now
that's part of the job qualifications.
The main qualification for this person
is a CDL, and they don't have a CDL.
Don't have it. So now we're going to pay for him to go obtain his CDL license, and that's going to cost us money. We're not actually going to have the job requirements fulfilled during that time period. It takes a week or two, maybe a few. I'm not sure 100% on how long it is now. It keeps kind of changing, and it's pretty expensive, a couple grand, and it's not a guaranteed pass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, the mayor may not pass this exam. And what's kind of people are afraid of is go and get this qualification or certified driver's license, and the next thing you know, you find out you make $30,000 or $40,000 more doing something else, and we just paid for him to go to school, and he goes on about his way.
It kind of sounds like to me a department head in that situation needs to be suspended for 10 days without pay. Too soon?
Maybe a little too soon on that one. But regardless, I mean,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
How is a department head able to do that there, and there's no consequence for that action?
Right.
That's the problem that people have been talking about with this board, this new board and mayor that they elected.
Yep.
I'm hearing this constantly coming back and forth is why aren't they doing what they said they were going to do during campaign season?
Yeah.
But wait, we've got some. We're still getting into this here.
Right.
So we got a little bit more on this agenda to go through, and there's a little bit of a churn in there.
There for sure.
Yeah, the drama's getting ready to come up.
Yeah.
All right, let's get up in here. Reading of the first reading of ordinance amending the 25-26 fiscal year budget. Do you know what they were amending?
Yes. So, and this is crazy in my mind, to be honest with you. It sounds like the comptroller removed, from what I have notes on, $70,000 that was given to the city from the state. So it sounded like Kustoff come down, or I should say come down and said something, or if the mayor went to Kustoff about it. But it sounded like they had a clawback provision, and they took 20% of a grant that was given to us. And this was something that was already spent. It wasn't that it was like, hey, we're going to award you this and it's coming in the future, you got to show us. It was, from my understanding, already given, and they clawed it back. And so we had to come up with the money. And from my understanding, so that's going to, obviously take and push us into more of our unassigned fund balance. We're now going to be somewhere around the $600,000 mark.
So I'm assuming we screwed up on a grant, didn't do something we were supposed to do.
It sounded like they applied it across the board for something. I don't know if the state just realized they didn't have enough money, or if it was the federal government that was giving money to the state, and the state was, delivering it out. Yeah, and they just decided they're going to claw it back. I said it wasn't very 100% clear on that, but from my understanding, from my notes, $70,000 that was taken back, and so they're going to have to figure that out. And the other thing that was also kind of in there, this HR person, the one that's retiring, she has some accrued time. If I'm not mistaken, it's around $25,000 that will have to be paid out over time. And we've got to figure out if we're going to, obviously, we've got to hire somebody else to fill that position. We can't just go without an HR person. And so how are we going to pay that out while also paying someone their salary as they're working? Right. And so that's why we've had these amendments to the budget.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you got that there straight from Blake. All righty. Discuss social media broadcast proposal. Now, I can tell you a little bit about this here. They're looking at doing the exact same thing that we're doing, which is fine.
All for it.
I'm all for it, because then that frees us up and we don't have to go to that meeting,
right? Which
may open us doors to go to other meetings that we can start attending that we can't attend because we're just so spread thin.
Right, and scheduling conflicts. A lot of times they take place on the same time.
Right, yeah. So, we're looking at that. That's a positive thing, but apparently they're checking into it. And I think from what I understand in the conversation was pretty much, we go in there with the cell phone. Why the heck can't the city do the same thing?
And Donna brought that exact thing up. There was a little discussion. We got to buy a camera on, and maybe not, it'll be a couple $100 or something. And Donna brought up, she said, well, these guys have been doing it for years off of a cell phone. The same quality cell phone that pretty much everybody else has. When we have a social media person, PR person, whatever you want to call them, she's at the meetings already. All it takes is a tripod. $10 maybe.
No, the tripod that we were using the other night.
That's right.
That actually belongs to Donna. Bought that tripod.
That's right. It's already there provided for us. We don't even have to bring ours anymore. We're good. And so why couldn't they do that? And like I said, they all just kind of scoffed and went on to the next subject. And like I said, Donna's pretty frustrated. I think that was kind of what started really getting her a little agitated on that time. Yeah. And rightfully so. Right.
This isn't hard.
Yeah.
What we do isn't hard.
No.
Why in the heck can't the city do it?
Right.
That's
And this person already has access to the Facebook account and everything else. Literally, you just go on there, you scroll down to, you don't want to post a picture, you want to go live feed, live video. It. You push that, you go on there, start it up.
And I will say this here, I've offered my services to the county in the past with helping set up the PA system over there, which, of course, nobody wants me involved there. And I've offered this since they've got the PA system over here. I've offered to come in there and help establish this. And, of course, nobody wants my help.
Right.
I guess they don't like me.
Sir.
I don't get it, man. I'm such a nice guy. All righty. Discuss, approve filling vacancies in the police department.
So this is one thing that's got kind of an issue. It sounds like I'm not 100%, but there's 5 vacancies right now. It sounds like one's coming up in May. And so he was seeking to hire 2 people. So this kind of tied into the hiring freeze. They just to be clear with everybody, this meeting, as far as going in order down the line, did not happen.
Yeah, they jumped all over the place.
Back and forth, this and there, and that's why, I mean, it's a nightmare in my notes. I'm like, oh, we jumped here, oh, go back here, jump there, go back here, talking about this. So anyways, they approved to hire 2 people at the police department, though, is what they ended up doing. They have 5 vacancies now, 1 more coming in May, so they're going to bring 2 on right now, and like I said, get them up to speed, trained.
Okay. All right, next item up there was discuss police department surplus equipment. What are they selling?
I don't remember if they actually said what the item they were selling, to be honest with you. I know that they were discussing that they're just going to get rid of some surplus items, and that was going to come up. But I don't remember if it was vehicles or if it was some old radio equipment or something like that. I don't recall off the top of my head, to be honest. I was busy trying to take some notes on that, and that was a pretty quick little topic.
Yeah, and I remember discussion probably a few meetings ago. I couldn't tell you exactly how many meetings ago where they were talking about selling some of the radios.
Right.
So yeah, I could understand that there. All right, now we've got the hiring freeze. So I mean, we kind of hit on this here. I mean, what's going on with the hiring freeze? What are they doing there? Is there a hiring freeze in the city?
It doesn't sound like it. I mean, they went back and forth on if there was or not, or if the main thing was, could we hire within? So could we transfer somebody in without having to go before the board and get approval? And then that's when we started really getting some infighting, right? We've already kind of got some people riled up, and so it come down to, is the board going to oversee hiring and be responsible for hiring, or do the department heads do it, and how does that all function? And we had some people on the board that were like, the department heads are supposed to do this, and the board doesn't do anything with it. And then other people were like, no, we're the board, we're the ones that are supposed to oversee and approve this, and beforehand you're supposed to come to us and ask for permission. And one of the things they brought up was, right now, could they hire somebody and then they come to the board and say, hey, I need to hire somebody. Oh, by the way, already did hire somebody. Could they then just immediately terminate them? Could the board come in and just say, hey, we didn't agree to this, we're terminating this person? And so there was a lot of back and forth.
Did they ever make a decision on it?
I don't believe that there ever came down to we got 100% hiring freeze. I don't believe. There was a lot. I'm not lying when I say they went back and forth, because it was like, oh wait, let's go down before we vote on this hiring freeze. Let's go back and talk about the police department and what they need. And let's go over here to HR. We need to see about this person. And does anybody else need a person to hire before we talk about this hiring freeze? And I was just like, are we having a hiring freeze? Are we having a hiring party here? I'm like, I'm lost. And then it come down to, once again, one of the main discussions was, well, can we hire from within without having to go before the board and stuff like that? So as long as it was an internal transfer or whatever, we don't need board approval or anything like that. We can just go ahead with it. And then if you move that person over and you have this vacancy now, can you just go ahead and fill that vacancy with, once again, out here going before the board? And that seemed to like to go all around. But I don't remember if they actually ever 100% voted to freeze the hiring. To be honest with you, I really don't remember all that. There was a lot of back and forth in that meeting. You kind of tell that's where tensions kind of started to start boiling a little bit.
Okay. And that's this is, again, I'm going to interject here, since now we're kind of covering things here. The board and the mayor runs the city. At the end of the day, everyone answers to them, and what it sounds like to me is, look what I'm doing over here. Watch the hand, and then I'm going to slide something in over here. Right. The board the board needs to come prepared with, this is it. This is the discussion. This is not open for discussion. This is the policy that we're implementing. Right. Don't need your input, because guess what? The people elected us to do this here. And that's what I've seen. It still seems like, it goes back to the vehicle thing at the beginning of it. Right. It still seems like the department heads are running everything. Right. And the board is just now starting to get their grip in here.
Yeah. And let me go back real quick to the social media broadcast proposal where we're talking about that, because this was something that I died laughing once again. They made a motion to table it. They voted to table it. Then after it was tabled, Roger brought up, hey, I want to talk about that actually. And so he asked Middleton to make it happen, and Middleton was like, I'll make it happen. So everything, I don't know what you want to call it, digitally related or anything. All of a sudden, it's Jeff Middleton figured this out. The automated time course. Hey, Jeff, can you figure that out for us? Hey, do this. Hey, Jeff, can you figure that out for us? And so after it was tabled, we went back to discussing it. And like I said, Jeff's going to figure it out for us.
Then why don't they just give him the social media hat, cut whoever's doing social media's salary in half, and give him that salary too, like they did with the fire department?
I mean, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you might as well wear 3 hats. You wear 2
yeah,
now.
that's right. Yeah, what's the difference in adding a third?
Yeah.
And it will save the city some money.
Right.
All right. The grass mowing bid.
So that started out as we were just going to get a bid. It sounded like for the cemeteries, and then it sounded like it's now every department that has any type of grass mowing wants in on it too. And so I don't know if who's all going to get involved on it. It sounded like the public utilities wanted in on it. I guess that they have to mow around some of. At least I know the treatment facility they have to mow around. So if that's going to get included in it or not, but they're going to go out and it sounds like do some contract bidding for that, and see if we can remove that off the public works department.
Okay, now I've got to ask a question here.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to outsource mowing,
Yeah.
then that means the people who are mowing grass now would no longer be needed.
I would agree with that statement, and I would think that we could also cut back on some of our equipment that we have for mowing, because we bought some mowers, if I'm not mistaken, last year for around $15,000 a piece or something like that. So maybe we get rid of some of that stuff. And the maintenance person that oversees, we've got to change the oil and all these things all the time. The person's always full time down there changing these oil and this stuff. I'm just being kind of facetious.
Well, I
but
get you.
at the end of the day, yeah, I agree. We should be able to scale it back. We may not need all this personnel. We may not need all this equipment.
Well, I mean, if we're going to take on a contract with somebody, I mean, I certainly hope we're going to cut somewhere to pay for the contract instead of taxing us to pay for the contract.
Right. And now you got all this time for these people, because that's one of the main things public works talking about. We got to do all this grass cutting. We got to cut Guy B. Amos Park, and we got to cut Lexington Cemetery, and we got to do all this cutting and stuff. Well, now if you got all this time freed up, are you actually going to get to work, or are we going to sit here and twiddle thumbs, or are we going to start cleaning some ditches out? I mean, there's plenty of things.
No, they got you to clean the ditches out. Let me back y'all up just so y'all understand that reference. I don't know. This was last year. This wasn't under the current administration. This was back when Griggs was still mayor. A lady, I cannot remember her name. You remember her name?
Teresa Williams.
Okay, Miss Teresa had problems, and she went to the board and talked to it. And what it is, where she's at, and this is one of the problems that happens around here we'll get into it. There was housing put up above her. Mm-hmm. She's down from that. And there's a storm system that runs down through there. It's a drainage ditch that goes through. Now, and where Miss Teresa lives is, if you go, I don't know the street name, but it's right beside the Dodge store. Yeah. And when you go, it's not the main street, but it's the other street that's beside it that does come back up to Main Street. When you come down there, you make a hard left. There's like a brick cinder block retaining wall, and then you make a hard right, and she's right there on the right-hand side. Yep. Well, what happened was, when these people went up there and did all their dirt work, and they changed out some of
all grass into pretty much a parking lot.
Yeah, now you don't have anything to absorb the water.
Yeah.
And you got all right. So it's no longer permeable. Yeah. So that creates that water runoff. Yeah. Well, and it runs down to her. Yeah. And down at the bottom of her yard is a big culvert. Two big culverts. Yeah. That brings the water under. Yeah. Well, the problem is Public Works wasn't keeping the culverts cleaned out. Now, also, the
main problem.
That was the main problem, but also her sewer system. There's a sewer clean out right there.
The manhole. Yep.
The manhole cover for the sewer clean out there, and apparently this excess water coming down was getting into the sewer and floating the sewer up as well.
Yeah, it was pressurized enough that it was lifting a 100+ pound manhole cover.
Yeah, so understand that there's that much water pressure there to lift that man cover off of the.
This isn't just water. This is, raw sewage. This is crap coming out, pumping out. And I'm not talking about just a little bit. I'm talking about boiling out of this. I mean, she sent the video, and it's horrific. And it also goes to the problem that when we have massive rainstorms, I say massive, it don't even have to be a lot. Our treatment facility gets flooded with 1.5 million gallons of water that gets flowed into what's supposed to be a closed system. And so now, like I said, we're having to treat that water at the end of the day. But not all of it's, even getting treated. A lot of it's spewing out onto the ground, you know what I'm saying, which is a huge issue. And like I said, when she showed it to me, I was like, oh my gosh, that is a massive problem. How in the world have they not fixed that? And once again, they went out there and kicked the top back on, and like I said, walked away. And that's what really frustrated me was this one, Mayor Griggs and Casey Scott, oh, we'll get out there. We'll be out there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I drove by just to see if they were out there, and they did. Drove right off when I drove by. So I come back by and asked Miss Williams, hey, I just wanted to come out here. I know you were at the meeting the other night. Just want to see what's going on. I said, did Casey or any of them come by and talk to you? No, I hadn't seen any of them. I was like, well, he was just right here in front of you, parked in the middle of the road right here. Never went up, talked to her whatsoever. So I went and wanted to see what she was talking about. Hey, show me what you're talking about. I just want to make sure I understand exactly. Spent 10 minutes there with her at most. Anyways, you can literally stand on the road and hang your head out the window and see where these culverts are clogged up. And I'm not talking about like they were just there was logs piled up from where they built up for a significant amount of time. And so anyways, I took pictures of it, right? Just being the nice person that I am, and said, hey, I'll bring this back up and see if anybody does anything about it. More than a month goes by, nothing is done. Nothing at all is done whatsoever. And so I was going to go out of town for a little bit of time.
That's when you went to Canada.
Yeah. And so before I go, I don't make sure nothing, no more rain's happening, you get flooded. I spent, I believe it was 7 minutes according to my photos, down there, because I want to take a picture of when I started and when I ended, just to show it does not take much work whatsoever. I got a little battery powered chainsaw, a little handheld with like 7-inch or 8-inch bar on it. Went down there, cut them up, threw them up on the road right there for somebody to pick them up. Got them out of the drainage ditch so they wouldn't fall back in there. And at the end of the day, it will allow water to pass through now. And she shouldn't have as much of a flooding issue. Not saying she still can't, because obviously somebody has built all this stuff into non-permeable surface above her, and it's all running down there. But hopefully decrease the likelihood of it. But still, nonetheless, more than a month had passed, nothing had been done, and took 7 minutes. So,
that'd be when there was probably no stormwater permits pulled on that there either. On that job.
No doubt. What is that?
Yeah, we've seen that a lot.
Right.
I've seen that a lot from well-known contractors around here.
Yeah, and just to go back real quick, so I don't know if these two were together about the $70,000 that was removed from the comptroller, and that was creating the $600,000 unassigned balance that we're having to draw from, in partially from the HR secretary retiring. You know what I'm saying? And we have to hire a new one and pay out her $25,000. But I go back, I'm going through my notes. Like I said, they were all over the place, and I was trying to keep all these things separate, which was a nightmare in that meeting, just FYI. But then he goes on to Kustoff coming and talking about clawing back 20% of the grants for fire, police, not sure. And it was the contract amount, not the amount spent. So, if you had a contract for $150,000 and they took 20% of it, we're going to take, $30,000 from you. Just poof, gone. Middleton said he made a budget adjustment he's fine with. This was a grant that was a flow through from the federal to the state government and then to us. And we have to pay that money back. And then I just funny, just so I can show you in my notes, it says now back to hiring freeze. Like I said, we went all over the place. Like I said, that's why it was hard to keep up with in the meeting what we were even talking about. And that's why, like I said, even some of the aldermen were sitting there in line. I thought we already voted on that. Didn't we already discuss that? Or what are we talking about now? And it's just like, this is a cluster. It's difficult for me to listen to. It's even difficult for them to understand what's going on. Like I said, that's frustrating. So moving on, like you said, got through the grass mowing bed and stuff, and then the juicy thing came.
Okay, hold on a second here. That is Barnhill Street, just so you know. Thank you, Amanda, on that there. And also, the question was asked up here, which department hired someone not qualified over qualified interviewers? Well, in this particular, what we're talking about right now is Public Works. Yes. But yes, no, this happens all the time.
Yes.
And I'll tell you the reason being is...
Friends and Family Plan.
Friends and Family Plan. There you go. The good old boys, they want internal hiring so they can keep their people in here and give them opportunities to move them up. That's just a reality of 100%. It. People want to try to ignore it or say that's not true, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
And you can't argue that.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. But so we'll move somebody that, and I'm not picking on anybody, but let's take somebody who's over here cleaning toilets, because I know we don't have anybody who cleans toilets as a job. So somebody who's over here cleaning toilets, next thing you know, we're going to make them in charge of the finance department within Lexington Utilities.
Right.
What on earth are we doing?
Or the social media manager become the HR personnel. That's
What
one of
on
the
earth?
ones that we kind of heard, and that was, I believe, what they were kind of hinting at. One of them was, and we wanted to make sure that we had the qualified candidate. I'm not saying I don't agree with, like I said, having some internal hires, but the first priority should be qualifications. At the
Well,
end
it's
of
not.
the day, it's not.
It's not. And they voted on this here
Yeah.
back a couple of years ago because Fred Ellis is the one who brought it up.
Right.
That yes, we need to really push to keep people from in.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
We need to hire qualified people to do the job.
100%.
They're providing us services.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but if you've got somebody who's been doing the job for 30 years and who is now retiring, and they're making, I'm going to hypothetically say $100,000 a year. Well, you don't bring somebody in that's only got 2 years experience at the $100,000 a year salary.
Right.
That's absolutely ignorant.
Right.
No business would ever do that.
Right. Or do not only do that, but then realize that the person was grossly unqualified, and so let's go hire another person, and we'll have
Right.
a dual manager
Yeah.
position, and we'll pay them another $100,000, and also and let's give them 2 trucks, and before you know it, it's like, well, guys, we don't know where all the money went. It's like, well, I can tell you real fast where all your money went.
That's very, very easy. Very easy. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go back to one thing, too. I'm going to pop up here just to interject something in there. The kick the can down the road. I'm so sick of that comment, that phrase. But you'll tell you what, that's exactly what this started back under Griggs when they were trying to do the last 2 tax increases. I kept hearing, well, if we don't start addressing all these issues that we've got, and we need to raise property taxes to take and address these issues. We can't just keep kicking the can down the road.
Yeah. The
Now,
sleeping giant of stormwater. Remember, we've heard that
yeah.
for a decade now.
And you know what?
Yeah.
They raised property taxes, and not a single penny of it went to that there. They put all that property tax increases into salaries.
Exactly. Every last penny of it.
That's
not
right.
one's went to a project, materials, or anything like that. It has went to salary. And I'm not saying that we may have had some low salaries on a few people and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we have got to rein in some of that spending and prioritize it to where we actually have funding for these projects that are a necessity at this point in time. It's not a want. These are needs, and they're bad needs. And that's one of the things that, like I said, I've been on for a long time of, how can we do this by partnering with state or other local municipalities, or hell, better yet, when we do large projects, for instance, like the new health department. We're doing low-income housing. Hey, guys, while we're spending millions and millions of dollars, let's fix some of the stormwater system out here on College Drive. You got a contractor out here with equipment and everything else. This stuff needs repaired. Let's spend some of that money on this project to facilitate that change. And instead, it's, no, well, we'll just kick that can down the road. Remember, that literally what I heard verbatim. Mind you, if anybody's been out there, just please, next time it rains an inch and a half, go out there to College Drive and you will watch a river run down the middle of College Drive out onto the highway. It does not go in the stormwater system. It just fills up because it is completely silted in at this point in time, or it will literally spiral down into the road. So there's sinkholes underneath these roads
Yep.
now, and it's just running down. And like I said, that is horrific for us.
Well, heck, that's one of the things. You talking about one of the stormwater drains out there. When I was out there looking at that, when I'm taking videos and pictures of that water running down College Drive, one of the stormwater catch basins over there on the automotive shop out
Mason Road, Motor McCombie.
yeah, brain farting there for a second.
Yeah.
But that stormwater basin right there was no water running into the stormwater.
Yeah. It runs
Nothing running into the basin.
Yeah.
There's it's already the water's already eroded the soil behind it.
Yeah.
And the water is going in behind there. So I'm actually sitting there looking in the basin. I'm shining my flashlight. Well, the water's not going in here. Where the heck is it going?
Right.
So it's going beside the catch basin.
Yes.
And what eventually happens there? You get a
Sinkhole.
sinkhole.
Yep.
And guess what happens with that catch basin and all that stuff gets damaged.
Yeah.
It's already cracked. Mm-hmm. It's probably because there's a sinkhole up under it.
Right.
And it's just nobody ever takes and does anything to address anything.
Right.
There's absolutely no preventive maintenance.
No.
All right, we need to get back. I'm sorry. Blake and I get carried away and just, I can't get him to be quiet for nothing.
Don't blame me for everything, man.
Yeah, well. All righty.
So the next one, this was a significant portion, probably almost the last 45 minutes to hour of the meeting, of this 3-hour long meeting that we had.
Well, and let's get in here too, because this kind of touches base. It opens up with a personnel policy with a 3 alderman committee.
Right.
Now, what I remember I've heard about this here is it's something to do. Our video has frozen for some reason. Well, it's still showing good up here. Maybe we just had a. Man, boy, that's an ugly expression I got on my face there. Is anybody? Can y'all tell me? Can you still hear us? It looks like we've got audio transmitting, but for some reason our video froze up on Facebook. And it's still showing good on our. Well, it still shows good here. So, can anybody tell me y'all still hear us all right? There's a little bit of a gap here, so I do expect. All right, we're still good. So, don't know what to tell you. But for some reason, our we've lost some
Video feed.
We've lost the video feed, or at least it's doing on mine. I don't know. Okay, it's. I guess we're going good now. All righty, getting back to this here. Appreciate it, Jason. Thank you, Becky. So let's get back into this whole thing. This 3-panel committee. I remember hearing something about this here. Did they touch base on the 3-panel committee, or did they just go straight into the suspension?
So once again, this went back and forth a lot about how this was going to facilitate with somebody sitting in on the meetings. Could the board member sit in on the meetings? Could the mayor sit in on the meetings?
Okay.
Was it just the HR?
And these are interviews.
Yes.
Okay.
Interviews for potential candidates to make sure they're qualified and stuff. But at the very end, the last thing was Donna kind of brought up the fact of what had happened with the charter change.
Okay, and this is the last line item here. So
yes.
Just so you know, this is about the charter change.
Yes.
And this is where,
and there's
if you're not tuning in, you need to call everybody. You definitely need to pay attention. Last thing I saw, we got numbers still increasing.
Yeah.
This is where you want to hear, because this is when the fireworks started.
Yes. And it very well, rightfully so, okay? Because this goes back to 23, when the original charter change took place. How in the world did that happen? But it started with the conversation of this last charter change. So when the new board came in, they said, "Hey, you screwed up the last one. All right, you screwed up the last one that was sent up." We had one vote when the new board came on to amend the charter back to the very original charter pre-23 change, with the 2 changes being the mayor could break a tie vote and the department heads could live within the county. They didn't have to live within the city limits. All right. Somehow, let me go back real quick. Before this is supposed to be sent up to the state for the legislature to approve, they were supposed to have a second reading. This second reading has been on the agenda for some time, but the board member said, because, hey, we got screwed last time because we didn't read it. We want it in writing for us to be able to review before we do this second reading and vote on it and before it gets sent to Nashville. Somehow, all of a sudden, the CFO decided he's just going to send it to Nashville. I don't know if he just thought that they were going to review it and send it back, or if he thought that he was sending it up and it was good to go and they could vote on it and come back with it. Well, what he sent up to Nashville was not what they asked. It contained the same language for the city manager as the previous one that got the board all fired up. It wasn't the requested thing. And so somehow, and mind you too, sent up to Nashville without the mayor or the board knowing. It was sent up there without their understanding or approval of this. And so Donald found out about this. The mayor found out about it, really. He called up there, told them to stop, throw that thing in the trash. We're not voting on that. And so they're rightfully mad. So Donna called him out on it. I mean, and she was livid. And I understand rightfully where she was coming from. And so she said, "How did this happen? Who do you think you are to give you the authority to circumvent the board and go out there on your own and make these decisions to send this up there?" And so she made a motion to suspend him without pay for 10 days, and at the next special called meeting determine his fate. And so that started the whole back and forth conversation. Well, I don't think there's been enough to vote on this and that. But then it brought up the conversation of what happened in that 23 meeting, right? How did we have this change where the board voted on these two things, and then y'all changed all kind of other language in there to essentially change our form of government, essentially, for lack of a better word, somewhat neutered the mayor to where he didn't have a whole lot of power at all to oversee any of the department heads or do anything. It all rolled up under what was now essentially a city manager. So the city recorder, in essence, became a city manager. All the department heads rolled up underneath him, which was never what the board wanted whatsoever.
And let me interject something there so you understand, so everybody understands in this here. There are, I think there's 4 total styles of municipal government, city governments. One is the mayor and board, which we have.
Yeah.
There's a city manager, and then there's a city manager and board, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
and then there's a municipal government, which is like what you see in Nashville. I can't remember the actual term for that there, but that's for and I think there's only a couple large cities in the state that has those.
And even on the mayor board, you can have a different to where it's like mayor strong, board weak, board strong, mayor weak. And so just throwing that out there for clarification on the different styles.
Right, the different styles of it.
Yeah.
But to change, we are a mayor alderman type of government, and it is mayor weak, board strong.
Yes.
That's how it's established.
Yes.
The only way that this style of government can change is not through a charter change. It has to come to a referendum vote, and the citizens have to approve it. And if I remember correctly, it still requires a 2/3 majority vote of the citizens to actually change the government style.
Yes.
So in other words, they tried to do something. They tried to manipulate the system and change our government style, and that's not acceptable.
No. And so once again, there was supposed to be this second reading for the charter change. That never happened. Got sent up to the legislature because once again, so there's 2 readings here locally for these changes to the charter. It goes up to the legislature. They have to read it on the floor, get essentially a vote on it approved, which is it pretty much is just a formality. And then it comes back to the board, and it has to be ratified by the board. And this is where it gets real interesting because it requires that supermajority. It's not just a simple majority of 4-3. You have to have at least 5 votes. And so this is where it's going to be real interesting coming forward if they go back, and because now I'm questioning whether or not they'll be able to get it to the legislature in time for them to even get it on approved by them before they enter into recess essentially. And so that's why I'm
Was there a second reading? I thought they took the second reading the other night, Monday night.
So they did end up doing a second reading without seeing it again. And so they voted on this.
Right. And let me come back and say this here.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 2023.
Yes. That's,
all right. Here's what happened. And because you know what? I've researched this quite a few times at the behest of a couple of aldermen.
Yeah.
At the time when I researched it. They voted first reading. There's actually 3 changes.
Yeah.
The 3 changes, number 1 is the mayor gets a tie-breaking vote.
Yes.
Number 2 is they could hire department heads that actually lived in the county. They didn't have to reside in the city.
Yes.
They expanded it out into the county. Number 3 was if a position came open, let's say that, and I'm not wishing this on anybody. I'm just saying if let's say Tim Rhodes passed away, his seat becomes vacant. Tim has 3 years left on his term. What that change was to say,
the next election.
Right, at the next election, Tim's replacement would have to run instead of waiting out 3 years to run. So that was the 3 things that they changed.
Right.
Okay, passed on the first reading. Next reading comes around, they passed it. From there, that information went to MTAS.
Right.
MTAS drafts up the charter change, sends it back. They send it out to the board. All got an email copy of it.
Right.
So they saw what the change was.
Right.
Then from there, it went up to the state. The state creates a private act, ratifies it, and then it comes back down, and the board has to take and ratify it with the supermajority.
Yes.
Means you have to have 5 votes.
Yes.
2/3 of the vote to take and ratify it, and then the change is there.
Nobody read it.
Nobody read it. The board is at fault here.
Yes.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Now, this is not the current board we got here. This was the last board.
Yes, but nobody read it whatsoever. They had trust. They had faith in the people that were telling it to. Oh, we just did what you said.
Right.
But nobody double checked. Nobody did, trust but verify. And so we ended up ratifying something that we didn't intend. And so that one, and it took several months, if not a year, or before somebody noticed that and was like,
right. It came around about a year later.
Yes.
And when it came around, fortunately, I actually had a copy of it, of the old charter.
Yes.
And I went back through files, found a copy of the old charter because I was asked if I had a copy, and I'm like, yeah, sure. So I provided it to an alderman who asked and showed that to him, and then showed him the new copy, the new charter change. This is not what we voted on. Right. I'm like, well, that's what's happened here. This is what's passed.
Yeah.
The thing is, you've ratified it. You've actually adopted it.
Yes.
You've created it. So, now let's fast forward a little bit when all this was happening. They called MTAS to come down here and talk with the board. Yeah, Mr. Whitehead.
Yeah.
Well,
and he got grilled.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Now, this was Alderman Wildridge at the time.
Yeah.
Asked him numerous times before. Now, this happened in a meeting, and we've got the meetings on our YouTube channel.
Right. How did this happen?
How did this happen? And he finally admitted that the mayor at the time, which was Griggs, instructed him to make these changes.
Yes.
So these were changes instructed by Mayor Griggs to change our charter he changed our charter, and pretty much it's against the will of the board, and he had no authority to do so.
100%.
But he did it.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now. And now this board is trying to get it reverted back to where it was and putting in just the 3 changes that the original board, that the board voted on the first time around.
Right. And the first reading that they did, and this is the next thing that got Donna upset, like I said, when because she brought the receipts, and like I said, kudos to her for doing this, because it wasn't any questions about what had transpired. I think she made pretty clear what had happened and what went wrong, and like I said, there was justification for the actions that were taken. The minutes of the meeting, right, that they voted on and approved, which once again kind of goes back to the board, maybe shouldn't have approved the minutes because it wasn't exactly what was made in the motion at the meeting. And so that's what she got mad about. And so she brought it up and played it. She played the audio recording verbatim to him and said, here was the motion I made. Why didn't the minutes reflect the motion that I made and that we voted on to approve? And no answer really.
Now, and I want to go back in and say something about that there. Yeah. I do remember at the following meeting, and I can't remember, I think this would have been the December 22nd meeting, if I remember correctly.
I believe you're correct.
Donna, when the minutes came up in the December 22nd meeting, when the discussion of approving the minutes from that meeting, she stepped up and she said, I want these minutes to be changed to reflect exactly what was said in that meeting, because those minutes did not.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if he changed the minutes from what was in the packet to what she checked it into. If he kept it the same and never made the change, then again, he did not follow the will of the board, who he works for.
Right.
So she tried to correct the minutes.
Yeah.
Now, if he made the corrections and he brought it, if he did make the corrections and just went ahead and let the minutes fly, then he did wrong.
Right.
Because he didn't follow the will, what was actually stated before it was approved in the meeting.
Right.
If he did bring it back before the board to approve again, Donna was sick. That was the next regular called meeting when it was popped up in there.
You're right about that.
So that could have slipped in that way.
Right.
Now, I'm going to also say this here. The city recorder has failed to properly produce the minutes correctly, period.
Right.
Every set of minutes is required to have who makes a motion, who makes a second, and how each member voted.
Correct.
Now, what they normally do there is they don't sit there and say, okay, we're calling the roll and showing every person. They'll say,
motion carried, and then who voted no.
Who voted no, exactly.
Because once again, just to kind of expand, when the people vote no on there, that allows them sometimes to bring it back up. You know what I'm
At a
saying?
later point, right?
Yes,
right.
and so that's the reason why it's important to understand who voted no, because they're the ones that are given that right.
Right.
And so, like, that's the reason it's specified once again. I believe in TCA.
It is in TCA.
Yeah, that this is how it's supposed to be recorded, so you know.
Right.
Well, who voted no? It's not like, oh well, let me think on that, or let me go back and find it and see if I can find it. It's supposed to be clearly delineated in the minutes of the meeting.
Right.
So,
Now, and I'm gonna say my piece on this here.
oh, go ahead.
March 9th is the next meeting. If what I understand, it will be only 2 items on the agenda. One will be the discussion of whether Cody Wood has a job on after March 9th or not.
Right.
I don't know what the other item is going to be.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. Coming into this new board, this was an issue. We've seen this issue for a long time happening. You know, again, I'm going to talk to you about reality and facts. Attending meetings is huge. I cannot express to you guys enough how important it is to attend meetings, to watch all this stuff unfold.
100%. You see people start ticking their feet. You see people's eyes get the size of saucers. You kind of know who they're hinting at a lot of times, because sometimes it's not as direct. And I don't know if that's because people are somewhat afraid to step on people's toes or what. There's a lot of value in the sign language and stuff that you can perceive from people. So go to these meetings. It not only, like I said, can someone apply pressure to the board, you know, on certain topics, and make sure you kind of hold them accountable to what, you know, they've promised you that they were going to do, but also for the fact that you get a lot of telltale signs and clues from their body language about what's going on and how uneasy it makes them feel and stuff, and what's going on with where their head is or in what they're doing. Need to be there. Got to see it. It's not relayed through video a lot of times, and a lot of times you don't hear it through the audio.
And I'm going to pop in here real quick, since we're talking about this here. We're talking with the charter change is all part of this conversation here. Yeah. Clay brought up a good point. There's another provision that MTAS recommended about being able to combine departments so that the police fire chief combination would be legal. Now, you know, and you're right about that, Clay. That is a provision that was added into that charter change. But that change was not voted on by the board.
Right.
They voted on their 3 specific items.
Right.
So if this was something that needed to be done, it should have been brought before the board to at least acknowledge this issue being there and at least get a quick yay nay vote. Or, you know, are you guys okay with us changing this language in here? Yeah. Just doing so without the board circumvents the spirit of government that is controlled by this board. It's elected a body.
Right. Well, and so just expanding on that, so I'm just reading through my notes because it was. You need to go back and watch this at least last hour of that 3-hour meeting. There's a lot that said there that we're not.
Yeah, we can't get it all to you.
I'm trying our best to try to, you know, keep it highlight, and so we're not also 4 hours in explaining all this stuff. But Cody asked when Donna brought up that, you know, Cody sent the charter with only one reading to the state to remove the powers under the CFO. Cody asked, do we go by the approved minutes? So remember, we were just talking about a while ago that the minutes that got approved didn't reflect the actual motion that was made, or what the board said in the meeting. And that's when Donna kind of stood up and said, it's what the board discusses and votes on is what controls. And she is right. That is what it is. And at the end of the day, the minutes should reflect that. At the end of the day, you have a recording to go back to make sure there's somebody writing it down right there as it's going on, right? That is what Mallory does. And I believe Cody takes some notes as well, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless.
Well, they record it. They have an audio recording of every meeting. They're required to by law.
Exactly. And that was, you know, once again, just sidebar. When we had the issue in the county with the building inspection program, remember? We ended up with 5 different minutes of the meeting put up. You have an audio recording. Go and listen to the audio recording, and you can verify exactly what it was if you're not 100% sure.
Exactly. That's the reason it's there.
And so when I went up there the first time and asked for a draft of it before it was actually voted on, I said, I want the draft and I want the audio recording, because I would be very interested to see if the audio reflects what is in the minutes.
In the minutes, right.
And that was when, like I said, that whole storm went on.
And then the minutes started changing and changing and changing and changing.
Yes. And so that just sidebar, but why it's important to once again have not only just the minutes but the audio of it, because you can verify exactly what was going on. So go back and forth a little bit, and Donna says that Cody overreached his authority, that she thinks that he believes that he's above the board, and that was when she made that motion to suspend him, because she I believe kind of right, and that he believed that, like I said, he didn't have to do exactly what the will of the board was, or that he had a disdain for the board and what their control or authority was, and that he may have been above that. And so I'm not sure if, like I said, he'll come back in humble and maybe ask for forgiveness or what, or if, like I said, he's going to continue to think that he can do what he wants. So.
Well, I'm gonna say this here, going back in not just this instance, but so many other instances that's been added in here. I have zero confidence in his ability. Yeah. I don't think it's a fact that he can't do the job. I think that it's a fact that he doesn't want to do the job. And I'm going to tell you now, and again, we call this the hidden agenda for a reason. I want to bring a lot of information to you guys here. I've been digging some into this here. Now, I've heard two things, and I'm getting conflicting stories from inside the city and then from inside the state. I'm being told by inside the state that this was never a draft set up there for the legislature to vote on. Now, I know you mentioned earlier about that was the case. Right. Now, I'm being told by an alderman that that they were told that, they were getting ready to vote on it. Right. Okay, well, somebody's not telling the truth there.
Right. Which is it?
That's the question, is which is it?
Right.
So, somebody, and to me, that muddies the waters even more when I look at this whole thing, because if we can't have honesty between what's going on with our state and our city here, then there's a problem. Right. There's a serious problem. Just come clean, let the situation know. But if somebody somewhere is trying to protect a position or a person in that position, I've got another issue with that as well.
Right.
Bottom line is, this belongs to the board and to the mayor to make the decision.
Right.
But me as a citizen who has attended a lot of these meetings, who's paid attention to a lot of what's happened here,
right,
and what I've seen and I know for a fact, I'll tell you right now, I have zero confidence in his ability to do the job.
Right.
Period. Yeah. I don't have any open for discussion. To me, I support the board 110% if they decide to terminate his position, because he has, bottom line, like I said, I go back into the conversation where he stood up there at the podium and pretty much told the mayor, who is his boss, right, I make the decision in hiring the personnel director, not you.
Right. They report to me.
They report to me.
Yeah.
And it's not so much he could question it. It's his presentation there.
Right.
And what really bugged me there was the mayor didn't
bite back.
He should have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, you're in control.
Right.
And I'm going to say this here. I heard during the video that what was the terminology here? I don't like airing our dirty laundry, but this is what happened in reference to everything that came out.
Right.
And I'm tell you what, yes, air the dirty laundry.
Right.
Because if you don't air the dirty laundry, it's going to sit there and continue to stink.
Right. Well, that in our closet gets filled up with skeleton after skeleton after skeleton. Before you know it, it's not out. It's not just in the closet. It's out in the room, and then it's out in the open. And it's like, whoa, y'all had a few that you could have addressed, and now it's compounded into a massive problem. And oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying?
And that's it. If you don't address a problem, it gets worse.
It does, and the impact of it becomes way worse.
Right, and you just nailed it. The impact becomes what could have been just a bad situation,
right,
and now becomes it's a mountain,
right,
of a problem.
Right, and so one of the things that they happened there, just look through. There was a special call session in December of 25, and at that there was supposed to be the second reading of this.
Right.
It was tabled at that point in time because they wanted to read it once again.
Right.
Because
nothing was ever drafted.
Right. Because they were, and rightfully so. Board now is kind of a little more hesitant, got a little more risk mitigation to them, and they're like, we're not voting on it until I can read it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Well, it sounds great to vote, which we went ahead and voted on it now without reading it this last time. But I will say that here is the original charter.
Right.
Here is very simplistically the three things that they wanted, which I forgot that one to mention that you talked about already. But that's it. Original charter, these three things, that's it. Yeah. and instead of trying to go through and figure out what had all been changed in it and for original
charter,
three
right.
things. And
that's what was discussed back in the November meeting.
Right.
You know, they wanted to see how it was going to look, but I mean, bottom line is this is easy to look at. I mean, this isn't hard. Take the charter and revert it back to the way it was, and then add in the three things.
Right.
The three things that the board voted on back then. Yeah. This brings us back into some kind of compliance with. I'm not going to say that I don't know if we're legal. Honestly, I really don't know if we're legal because we have a charter with changes that was never voted on by the board.
Right. And right now we're acting under a resolution. The board voted to essentially restore the mayor's powers through this resolution. So MTAS come back because, once again, when MTAS got grilled, when I came in and got grilled about how in the world this happened, who did this and all this stuff, and then it become, what can we do? How can we? Well, obviously we want this changed, but once again, to get it changed, you have to go into legislative session. You can't do it when they're in recess at the state level. And so, hey, what can we do in the meantime? He said, hey, you need to pass a resolution, act under that resolution, get it drafted, get it before us before we go into legislative session, and then we can get it approved. And so that's why I just mentioned a while ago, will we get this in time up there for them to review and get.
Now, this is something else too that I'm going to say. I've asked this question before. I asked this question back in December.
Right.
And as long as we got it by March, we're fine.
Right.
So this is what I'm being told out of the state. Right. If we got it by March, we're good.
Right. We're pushing it.
Well, we're pushing it, but now we've got the second reading.
Right.
And all that's got to be done is drafted. Right. I would think it'd be as simple as calling MTAS and saying, look, can you put a rush order on this one here?
Right.
Next time you're down, I'll take you out to Scott's Barbecue for some damn good barbecue.
All you got to do is take and once again upload the original, right? Add those three things in, and that's it. That was all. Simple. It has to, right. Very, very simple. And it seems like, I don't know, but the next thing is though, and that I'm going to be real interested because this motion that was made by Donna for once again him to be suspended passed 4-3, right?
Right.
When it comes back, it has to be ratified by a supermajority, which is 5.
There we go.
So what happens when it comes back? And this is just obviously pure speculation at this point in time. But when it comes back with the original charter change, assuming it goes through legislative session, gets voted on, approved, and it comes back for ratification, and they asked for it to be ratified, there's a motion made to ratify this new charter, and we only get 4 of 3. What happens? Technically, it's not a tie vote. The mayor can't step in to break the tie. You know what I'm saying? And so
that's right, because it wouldn't be a tie vote; it'd be a 4-3 vote.
Right?
The mayor can't break a tie,
and so it's not ratified at that point. So then, do we continue to act under this
existing screwed up charter?
Yes. And not only that, but the resolution that we passed giving the mayor the powers. And I don't, mind you, like I said, I have no idea when these two are in conflict, the resolution and this charter, how that is supposed to be resolved. You know what I'm saying? So, for instance, right now, if the CFO or city recorder, city manager, whatever you want to call him under this charter, you know what I'm saying, and the powers that were given to him under this, and the resolution, which was technically passed at a later point in time, which you would think would supersede it, but I'm not sure. The charter is the founding document, essentially. It is the foundation upon which all this is built, right?
And this is what Donna was trying to express when she made the suggestion that we need to suspend.
Right.
Because this is the
Bible.
Right. This is a very serious issue.
Yes. The Bible, as Jeff Briggs would have called it. Yes.
And now let's go back into what you were saying about the ratifying. It takes 5 votes to ratify.
Right.
Now, at the end of that meeting, if you go back and look at the video, Sandra Wood was standing up there. It takes 5. It takes 5.
It didn't pass. It didn't pass.
Yeah.
But they didn't understand that the second reading for the charter change to go up
only requires a majority.
Right. That's correct.
It's the ratification that requires 5.
Yes.
But
and her and Roger were both kind of screaming that at the very end. And so it'll be very interesting when this comes
I'm almost sure how I listened to that there, to me was
it's going to be a fight.
I'm threatening you to tell you right now, you don't have my vote to ratify this new charter.
100%.
And the thing is, what on earth would they be arguing about? Because they're bringing the charter back to the way it was before.
And what they voted to approve.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
So nothing's really changed. So why wouldn't they ratify it, other than the fact that they're going to lose control in this here?
Yep, that's it. Spite.
You know, and I'm going to say this here. Yeah. Now, this ain't about spite, but this is another thing that really worries me about if the board decides to keep Cody Wood on, is if this happens and they don't ratify that charter, you just told that guy, guess what? You ain't got to worry about the charter. We got you back in here. Let's go back to business as usual.
Right.
This here, this board, this March 9th meeting is going to be it's going to tell to me, it's going to tell the voters, did you get what you elected or not?
Right.
Because I'm going to tell you right now,
and who's in charge of the city, really?
That's right. Who's in charge of the city?
Yeah.
I went into this meeting. This was my last thing. I mean, I'd had enough of excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse of why we haven't done anything.
Right.
We need this.
Kicking the can.
Right. Exactly. I'm tired of the can being kicked because that's all I keep hearing out of government.
Right.
And I sat here and I listened to it and I'm like, here we go, one more damn time.
Right.
And that's the reason I got up, because I was disgusted.
Yeah.
Now, that and another thing that you and I have already discussed. Yeah. But anyway, this board right now, we'll learn everything we need to know about this board on March 9th.
Right.
Where they stand.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether they are for the people who voted for them, or they're going to be the casualties of war in the next election.
Yeah. And just remind you, too, the voter turnout at this last election was significant in comparison to the past 5.
And you know why that is?
They're tired of it.
Tired of it, and people are paying attention.
Yep, 100%.
That's what it gets into.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to sum that last little bit up here. The charter change has had its second reading. Yeah. And is now waiting to be drafted. The second reading is to bring it back to the 3 things that are supposed to be added.
And the original.
Yeah. Period. That's that simple. Yeah. Also, in this here, Cody Wood, the city recorder, has been suspended for 10 days without pay. Yeah. His fate will be determined on March 9th. Yeah. And that's where we are in regards to that. Yeah. Now, let's get up in here. We need to get into the county because, boy, we're already pushing it. We're over an hour again. Well, I tell you right now, it's just tough.
We're long-winded, man. Well, that was a long meeting to cover, too, though. I'll be honest. That was a 3-hour meeting that had a lot of things.
Yeah. And you're right about that.
Trying to explain the importance of some of the stuff, too, like I said, to break it down so people understand how all of this functions.
Sorry. Well, and I'm going to say here, Clay Crook, man,
thank you.
Yeah. I mean, Clay just brought something else up. That's why we need a public referendum to change the charter. Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. There, you know what? This is the document that governs our body. Yeah, then let the people have the say.
100%.
I agree with you 100. Yeah, we're on the same page there. Yeah. Okay, let's get into this county meeting.
Oh man.
Yeah, and this
a lot of grandstanding in this one.
All right, do we need to take in? It's an hour in. This is probably going to take 30 minutes. You want to take about 10 and come back, or 5? Let's take 5 and come back.
5 and come back. We'll do that.
I'll tell you what, folks. We're going to take
a bathroom break real quick.
Yeah. Because I'm going to tell you, when you get old, you pee a lot. We're going to step out for 5 minutes, and then we'll be right back on, and we're going to take in
highlight the county meeting.
So give us about 5 minutes, and we'll be back. Yeah.